Don't believe, just know. Cymatic TV, turning vibration into reality.
Welcome to Cymatic TV. Today we are going to have a very interesting, fascinating conversation with Tom Lawless, my partner in crime, who has a wealth of knowledge in this particular field through his healing and his work, investigations and explorations over the last 25 years. So I'm in a very privileged position to ask some very deep questions about a subject that many people have an interest in, know about, but probably don't have quite the same view and insight that you do. So today we're going to be talking about chakras. So Tom.
And auras.
And auras, okay?
Yeah.
We'll talk about both because it's kind of works hand in hand.
They're interconnected, aren't they? So, you know, it's a bit human energy-ish.
And you do indeed do workshops, you know, a specific workshop on this topic where you go into great detail and actually your participants get to feel the aura and the chakras as you have learned how to do this. So yeah. I'm gonna play I have done your workshop, but I'm gonna play completely dumb today because, you know, I kind of feel dumb most days, but this, you know, I'm going to ask some basic questions. Really, this is an overview. We will go into more detail on specific chakras going forward, but I would like to sort of start with a real sort of basic overview. So energetically speaking, what is a chakra?
A chakra is the accumulation of crossing points of the threads of energy that goes through your body or creates that sort of being, as it were. And as they cross over, you know, crossing points, the intensity and the, you know, of that crossing point of those energies as they intertwine, like twine across round a stick, as it were, creates that magnetic discharge, which then sort of forms the chakra, as it were.
So energy passes through the body, and at the crossing points, the chakras sit.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Totally. So, you know, maybe we should go into about how energy comes into your body. It's a little bit like you're sitting like you're sitting on a spike of energy that is connected to you through, it's not actually a chakra, what the Chinese medicines use it for. Because I used to do a lot of work with acupuncturists and stuff like that. And hopefully I'll be doing that in the UK as well. So basically me and the acupuncturist will be looking at the client together, and then we will be choosing, or together between our specific arts, we will be, you know, they would say where they want to put the needles and stuff like that, and I would then go through and help to charge and discharge needles and etc., and make the energy flow a lot better. And there was a particular point which is just behind the sternum, which is just, I'm not going to lift my top and show you because
please don't.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, although I am a Greek god, as it were, in my muscular sort of thing. Yeah, right.
That aside.
And you know, and so you get this like this point sitting on top of your body. That's the best way to describe it. And that's the energy that comes in from the earth, and we sit on there like a weeble in a way, sort of like wobbling around. So that comes in, and then as it comes in, it's the reaction of that force coming in that forces the energy up, but also down at the same time. So we have this arriving of the two energies, then just start kind of going like this, in theory, in your body.
So things kind of work in symmetry, can they? As the energy's coming in, things work kind of. Can you explain how many chakras? Because again, this is a, you know, opposing opinions say there are different numbers of chakras. So just as a basic for a human,
well, if you take an animal, animals have 5 chakras.
Okay. So what are those 5 chakras?
We are the humans, we are animals, and we have, as far as I can see, and as I'm concerned, as actual functioning chakras, we only have 5 chakras.
Okay.
And those 5 chakras are the heart and crown chakra, which is the same chakra.
Root and crown.
What did I say? Heart.
Heart.
I'm just that heartful kind of guy, you know. So root and crown chakra, which is equivalent of having the one end of a chakra and the other end of a chakra. That's all it is. And that's your vertical chakra, with your energy going up and down. And that's the principal chakra of being, as it were. So that is actually only one chakra, but people separate them into two chakras, which I don't think is a good idea. But anyway, we're not going to go into too much detail on that because we'll be here for days. But so you have the heart, you have the root and crown chakra, then you have your sacrum or the sacred chakra, and then you have your plexus solis or solar plexus.
Or solar plexus even.
I keep doing it in French.
French thing.
Solar plexus, your heart chakra, and then you have your throat and your third eye, which is also one chakra. If you imagine, as I say, you had like the front and the back of the chakra. If you turn it like that, so you have it like that, and there's like a tube that goes between the front and the back. If you bend that tube in half, you end up with two chakras, but it's actually only one chakra doing a U-bend, like that. So, and then you know, so therefore you have your root and crown, sacrum, plexus solis, solar plexus, heart, third eye, and throat chakra.
So
yeah.
So traditionally in pictures and things you see 7 because the crown and the root are separated out. So yeah. The next question that comes to my mind is you know what they represent, because you know there is a general census of opinion to what each chakra represents. How did you come to your view on what each chakra represents?
Yeah, you get a lot of people just sort of reading stuff on Wikipedia and then just quoting it and repeating it and repeating it. And if you repeat it enough, everyone takes it as being gospel. And this is usually from people who can't actually see energies and stuff like that. I see energies around everything. It could be anything from a cup to human beings, trees, you name it. I can't see chakras as such. This is the thing. Chakras seem to be going incredibly fast, faster than I think that humans are capable of perceiving. Yeah, but it's like I can see like equivalent. If you imagine a boat that goes in front of you, if you're sitting on the side of a river, you see a boat go past. The boat's already gone out of your view, but you can see the wake of the boat in the water, and that's how I sort of see chakras in a way. You know.
So it's like
someone else might say they can actually see chakras. If they can, please do leave a comment. You know, I mean, everything's good for investigating.
So it's more like a footprint, an energetic footprint to what you...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that energetic footprint then creates that overall vibration, which we will call the aura, the magnetic field, and changes the magnetic field of the person. This is why in our energy updates, this is why we talk about the energy field of the earth a lot and stuff like that, because that's what you can see coming down the line. You're going to get it through you eventually. So I look at chakras in this way, it's like a note on a piano.
Right.
Yeah. So you play the notes C or Do. Yeah. Now, when you play that on the piano, you're actually playing 3 chords. It's not just one chord, it's actually 3 actual physical iron chords, you know, metal chords in the piano. Yeah. And a C chord is a nice, when you put your finger on it, it makes a nice sound, the middle C, it's lovely. It's, you know, it's the sort of, the root chakra. But if it is very limited in what you can get out of it in a sound. So what people, you know, when people play piano, they end up playing sort of chords, 5ths, 8ths, that sort of thing, 7ths, minors and what have you. And that is actually involving other chakras. So when people say like, what is the specific thing behind the solar plexus? You can give a guide, but you can't say it's exactly that. I think you've got to separate the emotions from chakras, because emotions is a collection of chakras.
So coming on to colour then, because you see the colours coming into the aura. So you can see what's coming from specific chakras. Is that how you identify colour to chakras, to what you have observed from how that human is displaying emotion?
Yeah, I'll go along with that. Yeah. You know, when you see colour, when you see colour in a certain place, you know, which you shouldn't really be there. And it's like sort of seeing snow in the Gobi Desert or the Sahara or Death Valley in America, you know what I mean? If you were seeing it once, it'd be interesting. You know, you could say it's a meteorological phenomenon, but if you were seeing it on a regular basis, you'd be kind of going, what is going on? There's something that's not right. So, you know, when you see color in, you know, an aura is not just one color, and it's not rainbow color either. You know what I mean? It's a little bit like a lava lamp, and the colors, they move around, you know, like when you put a brush of paint.
Well, a drop of paint
water.
into water, and it just all spreads and...
Exactly, yeah. So you get that sort of effect. And when you see colours in wrong places and stuff like that, and then sometimes you'll see parts of the magnetic field that don't even work.
So,
down.
Would you agree with the everyone's perception, or the majority perception, that the root is red, and that the sacrum is orange, and that the solar plexus is yellow, and that the heart is green, and that the throat is blue? So that, you know, this is a general...
I'll go along with that.
And therefore you're seeing these colours wherever they are kind of manifesting within the the... Okay.
Well, someone has, like, I was dealing with someone who, this lady came and saw me, and she had family who, she was originally from Africa, I forget which country. It was a West African country, but you know, she still had her sister over in Africa, and her sister was having a lot of problems, and she really loved her sister. And she just went, it was like, you know, like squids, you know how they sort of change colours and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And, or chameleon. And she just went all green, and you just really liked green. And when she spoke about her sister, and it was so beautiful. And you're just kind of looking at it, just kind of going, man, you really do love your sister. It's amazing. You know, and so you get these flashes of just immense colour that take over everything, but they don't stay like that permanently, you know what I mean?
Well, exactly, and that was the next question, is that the whole balancing of the chakras, you know, if a heart was particularly, you know, might be termed as closed or particularly open, can you tell that open or closed, or is it the colour, the colour effusion that kind of dictates to you how open or closed a chakra is?
Well, yeah, you can, there's several ways. There's several ways in which you do it. You know what I mean? When you look at something, you should never look at one thing, I don't think. You should look at various things in order to give you a rounded view of what's going on. So when I see the colour around someone, and I'll see the green, and it'll be, you know, sometimes you can get like British racing green, like the old MG green, dark green, you know, and you can just see that those people are really a bit hard on their heart, you know, they're primarily hard on themselves. You know, don't be hard on yourself, people. Really don't be hard on yourself. It is difficult enough life trying to have to deal with all the gubbins out there in the human world and stuff like that, let alone the earth itself and how that works, you know. So don't, first things first, just don't be hard on yourself. But you can see that in people's auras with the colours. You know, the colours tend to be a little bit more darker or a little bit more somber, you know, when you're dealing with, you know, heavy sort of energies and heavy sort of concepts or heavy sort of emotions and stuff like that. And then, you know, it can be a lot lighter, you know, almost pastel-y when it's joyous and amazing, you know what I mean?
So through all the, you know, around, you know, 15,000 clients that you've seen, you know, you've just slowly built up from witnessing the colors and, you know, listening to the story of the person, etc., to how these represent to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate pre-programming. So I read books, but I don't really read a great deal of books. but I don't like, I prefer learning myself and then seeing what everybody else says about that situation. Because what happens is, and we get this with a lot of people, is that people will read or hear something from somewhere. Like, you'll hear what I'm saying here. This is why it's important for you to say, because this is my experience, and you know, it is an ongoing thing. You know, Einstein has created his theories, and people have built stuff on his theories. You know, and some of his theories are looking a little bit shaky now, but that is fine. That's good. It's a progression. That is what we call an evolutionary process. And I'm not a great fan of kind of just reading it hearsay from somewhere and then just not doing it. So I spent, as you say, like I've seen over 15,000 people.
You have experienced those people and their energy, and from
yeah,
that basis of understanding.
And noting it when it keeps repeating itself, when a situation repeats itself, and I get a situation that repeats itself within the aura, and you just kind of going, okay, yeah. And it's observation science, basically.
And you do see the aura and what goes on. So very briefly, can you just explain, because obviously I've been on this workshop, that, you know, it's not just one blob of aura. There are layers within the aura. Can you just explain briefly why?
Right, yeah, exactly. As much as you look out your window and you'll see clouds. And you'll see clouds at different levels, and they do different things at different levels. But you cannot see that different layer of magnetic field, because it's all to do with the magnetic field, or the layers of the atmosphere, the stratosphere and everything like that, the ionosphere, and all of that sort of thing. And so you do get these layers on auras, but you can't actually, I don't actually see them like bands of thing, and they mix between one and the other. So you get, when I do my healing, you can almost look into a layer, and it's almost as if you're looking through a department. So if I want to look into a physical department, I'm going through the third layer and seeing how their physical interaction is with the outside world. So I can literally, it's a bit like a postcard stand. That's the best way to describe it. You literally just kind of go flick it through, and you kind of spin it around. You're kind of going, okay, I just want to have a look for the liver, and then the liver. Then you see the liver, and you take the postcard out of the liver, and you kind of go, and you can investigate the liver of the person. It's the aura or energy field of a person is the best way to stock information. Now, people talk about cellular memory and stuff like that, but you don't actually own your body, and you're not taking your body with you. So that cellular memory is not for you to take away with you. It does help us in certain aspects to remember maybe past lives and stuff like that. But primarily the body, or the cellular memory, the physical memory, is for the earth to read your body and say, oh, Tom did that in his life. That's what one of the humans did. And then therefore the earth can get an overview of what the humans are actually doing with themselves and with the material of the earth on this planet. But if we talk about the aura is something that you take with you, which you discharge into the Akashic library, and that's where all the memory goes. And therefore we can go up there into the Akashic library and read, Einstein's life through his energy implant, through his energy.
So all our information is stored in the aura, and that's how you access what you need.
People think memory is stored in your brain. That is just completely and utterly bollocks, as far as I'm concerned. Excuse my French. You know what I mean? But you got to call a dog a dog. What your brain is a processor of information. If you put no information into your computer will absolutely do nothing. Right? It has a memory hard drive on there, but that is not how the computer works. That is just the information it accesses in order to function the computer, so you can see and do all the things on your computer. And it's the same thing with the body. Your energetic body, your aura and stuff like that, is quite literally the information that you are retaining. So you retain every bit of information during your life. And then, therefore, if you say to someone, do you remember that? They'll look up and they'll kind of go, And what they're doing is they're actually pulling that information out their aura and then processing it through their memory, through their hard drive, or through their computer. So then you can look into your third eye, which is a bit like a video projector, and you can kind of go, yeah, I can see that. I can remember what I did.
That's very interesting. That ties in with some of the work that I do with NLP, with neuro-linguistic programming, visual
Right.
accessing cues. And if you're talking to somebody, they will look up in one way if they're going to a past memory. If you ask them to look into the future, you know, there's all the different, if they're accessing feelings, they look somewhere else. And this is a general thing that's been observed.
Really?
And yes, and it is if they're looking somewhere else. So you can tell where people sit in their timeline to, you know, if they're looking to something past, and maybe people store things slightly different within there. I don't know if it's standardized. Maybe you could know that more than most, but it, you know, it's very interesting to see the correlation for me between that. And, you know, and this is how you work, because you can you know, you're accessing trauma. You can see when that happened. It's all that information is stored in the aura, therefore you can access anything within that person's life.
Yeah, energetically you can put your finger on it and it will kind of like it'll be like a zip file. It'll open it up and you'll kind of go, okay, so I know what date. It's like I had this priest come and see me, right? This is really quite amazing. I had this priest come and see me. This was years ago. This has got to be, it's a long time ago. You know, it's over 15 years. I know that. So, you know, I had this priest come and see me, and he was retired. Well, you know, as much as priests do retire, but he was 80, and he had a recurring problem in his knee, and I was working on him, and I said to him, and he came with this person who was helping him, looks after him, and everything like that. And so, you know, it's quite interesting to have a priest come and see me, because normally they don't, you know, get into that sort of thing. But this priest was a lovely old guy, and I said to him, I said, did you have an accident on your bicycle when you were 12 years old or something like that? And he went, no, I didn't have any accidents, no bicycles, no accidents. Right, okay. And I continued on working, and I was kind of going, you know, and I kept coming back to it, and I was kind of, there's something there. But anyway, we'll move on. So I moved on, and I was continuing. I was working on his knee and stuff like that, which the knee, which is all to do with the problems between the I and the us. That's for another day to explain about that. But and I said to him, you know, and I said to him, how's it going at the moment? You know, how's it been going over the last sort of 6 months in your life? You know, and he says, you know, it's he's got various churches that he works in and stuff like that. And it must have been going for about half an hour. And then eventually he turned around and he goes, you never guess what? And I went, what? And he went, I had an accident on a bicycle when I was 12. And I went, yeah, little red bike. You know, and I got all the information of the accident. Yeah. And I said to him, I said, okay, so I know what was going through your mind or through your spirit just before the accident. And it's exactly the same thing that you're going through now. And you hurt your knee during that accident. And that whole experience of when he was 12, he wanted to show his friends he could do this thing on a bike. And he fell off and he hurt his knee. And at that present time, when he came and saw me, he was trying to show to his parishioners that he could still give a sermon.
Right.
And I had to say to him, I said, I said, stop trying to prove it to them. Stop trying to prove it to yourself, and just give it. Just do it. Just enjoy it. And he was sitting there, and he realized what he had been doing wrong, and he was repeating the same thing, because it was a recurring pain in his knee that he was getting every 2 or 3 months. So it kept coming back, and that's all.
This is the whole pattern thing, though, again, isn't it?
Totally.
We'll be talking about in an upcoming video very soon.
Yeah, which we've done, but we're just waiting for the moment to release it. But and you know, and he said, and he was sitting there, and he's kind of going, I can feel the pain going down my leg. And I'm going, yeah, just let it out. And it gradually went down into his foot, and then sort of like, it's kind of went, poof, and out of his foot. And he's kind of going, I understand. I was going, great.
Brilliant.
That's it. And we pretty much covered the bases, and we're done. And this is, you know, this is it when when you're dealing with someone and you're not within their space. So I don't put my hands physically on people. I'm usually about 1 meter away from people, and because that's the best way to work in the actual energy. You don't want to be in people's faces, as it were. and when you put your finger on these sort of problems, you can, as I say, it opens it up and it explains everything about it. But then that's the energetical side of it all.
Brilliant.
You know.
That's
so
amazing. Just absolutely amazing.
In chakras and auras, just to sort of go back to the question that you asked, I wouldn't say, you know, you could give certain things like, say, your heart chakra is all to do with love, but it's also to do with jealousy. It's also to do with desires. You know, what does your heart desire? You know what I mean? It's your plexus, your solar plexus is all to do with family connections, bizarrely, how you connect with your kids and stuff like that. But it's also to do with confidence. It's also to do with determination and stuff like that. Your third eye and your throat chakra is obviously how you communicate those ideas. You know, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward thing. But I wouldn't associate love with a chakra, for example, because it doesn't work like that. We're down to the piano thing where we're playing several chords in order to make that chord of love. Do you know what I mean? And I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't go that far to associate an emotion. It's far too remedial.
So could you just give an overview, very, you know, the root, what's your interpretation of the root chakra?
Okay, root chakra is quite literally feeling what's going on here and now. You know, and us humans, we don't really do that a lot, to be honest. We spend the majority of the time in there, in the crown, which is all to do with perceptual of what's happening here and now. Mm-hmm. So feeling the ambient field, as it were, of the nervosity of the situation.
Like
down in the root,
picking up on what's going on.
Totally. And the root is all about sort of grounding yourself in the way of kind of making you feel well within your position.
And practical application of what you're doing.
Yeah. And those two should, in theory, be in balance, in harmony.
Okay. So we were going to talk about that. So sacral, talk to you about the solar plexus. Sacral is all to do with your needs and wants. Your interaction with the world around you on an artistic or fun based is on the right hand side for me. On the left hand side is very much more sort of kind of going, how much, you know, what house do I need? How much money do I need? Is calculating that sort of thing. It's all to do with, that's where your ideas come, not ideas, but your desires, in the sense that I want a bicycle, I want to go on holiday and stuff like that sort of thing, and then comes together. And then you go to the plexus solis, which is the solar plexus, which is talked about, the heart, which is sort of talked about as well, which has highly emotional in many different senses, not just for love and stuff like that, but very, very sensitive as a chakra. And then you have your third eye and your throat, which you do need at some point to manifest those ideas which come from the sacrum. And when it's coming from the sacrum, work together.
They work in tandem. And the heart and the plexus solis, solar plexus, work in tandem. You know, and then you have like, you know, your third eye and your throat chakra work in tandem with your sacrum, and then your crown and your root chakra work in tandem because they are the same thing, you know. And this is how it all comes out like a lotus flower. You know, one petal opens up after the other, and there is a sequence where your energy comes in. It starts moving your heart, your crown and your root chakra, because that's your raison d'etre. It's the reason you're here. The notion of being an animal on a planet, part of a natural system, that's all that section. So once that starts going up, and then you get the heart and the solar plexus, which sort of open up, you know, I'd say the heart leisurely opens up, starts opening up slightly before the plexus solis, but it doesn't matter. It's the difference is so minimal you wouldn't really notice it. And then after that, you have your third eye and your third eye in your throat chakra, and then you have your sacral chakra that's opening. So your desires, your ego, comes last into this whole thing, in theory. Yeah. And then what happens is once the energy is going up and down like that, and it's gradually making these other chakras light up. Once it goes to the whole thing, all the chakras then go light up together, and then it goes back down to the base. So it's like a pendulum sort of thing.
And when we talk about things being out of balance, it is, as I understand it, is where your energy is. If you're spending too much time dwelling on your wants and needs, the energy's gone to that chakra, therefore it can't be somewhere else. So
exactly.
Something is missing somewhere else. So in that respect, things are out of balance.
If you imagine all your chakras are made up of one single cord, that cord goes up and down, and then and then goes out like that. And if you pull on one of those cords on one of the chakras, obviously it's going to pull on all the other cords to make that chakra larger. You know, I say to people, you have got 100% energy. You never have less and you never have more. That is not technically true. There is two instances.
We won't go into that, right? No,
it should do. It should do. One instance is the ejaculation of a man. When he ejaculates, therefore he reduces his energy, because physically you have a little bit of your aura that goes around each of your spermatoid that goes out of your body. Therefore, you know, males tend to sleep very quickly after making love. Females, they have a lack of energy when they're actually breastfeeding, because it's the same thing. They're actually giving physical particles to another being, which person will digest. And those, like any cell, has its own part of its aura around it. So when they breastfeed, they too tend to feel a little bit tired at that moment they've stopped breastfeeding, you know, for about an hour or so afterwards. That's the only time you're going to be missing like a millionth of a percent, you know what I mean?
So things can go out of balance.
Yeah, totally. Well, this is it. When people sort of say, I'm missing energy, this is not true. You know, it's a case of you're not missing energy, but what you're doing is you're not distributing it correctly.
Okay, so that is something, again, we learn more about in the workshops, and you know, and you're currently writing a book which is putting a lot of this into detail, which we'll be publishing in the next year, or hopefully sooner, which will give a lot more of flesh to this. On the list of books that we're currently publishing.
Well, we're doing well. It may not seem like that to the general public, but we are getting out there.
Yeah, we are.
And we are finalising a lot of books at this present time.
It's going to present a lot of information and give a lot of background, and obviously workshops will be available coming forward in the future. But if this is moving on, you know, this is a fascinating conversation. What I'd like to do though before we close is just briefly, if it's possible. We've been in our energy updates, we've been talking about the world chakras, the geomagnetic lines. So can you just explain, as a correlation to, you know, clearly these are, again, crossing points, I'm assuming, you know, with the geomagnetic lines that are creating world chakras. So, you know, why have you come to those positions on the globe for the chakras? And can you just explain a little bit how you see it affects culture, etc.?
Yeah, because it does. So if you give the connotations of a heart, let's say, if you said to someone, say, give me 5 words that talk about heart, they'll probably say love, joy, family. Do you know what I mean? That, you know, various things like that. So you look at a culture that's got that sort of thing. You look at the crossing lines, and you can pretty much tell, you know, which, because there's 30 crossing points on my maps, that what you can see on my thing, which I made over 20 years ago, this map. You know, and it is changing, it is developing. And so you get these crossing points, you actually understand that those crossing points are actually important crossing points at this present time. I think it can change in the future, but you do have other crossing points which are less important, which we would call things like nadis and things like that, which is like mini chakras, you know, like which we have in our hands and stuff like that, you know. And when the earth resonates that, you have this yin yang effect. So if you're going through a really good relationship, it's amazing. When the heart chakra rings, it may make it it might be the cherry on the cake. Yeah, if you're going through heavy shit, it may make you turn around and kind of go, oh, my heart's just even heavier now because of it. So when you can see these chakras on the earth, and so you've got the root chakra, which is in Lake Soledad, which is in Bolivia, which is a massive salt lake in South America. You have the sacrum, which is in Mount Shasta, which is up in California. You know, America is all to do with the sacrum as far as I'm concerned. Then you have the solar plexus, which is down in Australia. Very interesting things about that, and certainly about their cultures before the modern cultures turned up, you know, the Aboriginals and stuff like that. And then you have the heart chakra, which I believe is in St. Michael's Mount down in Cornwall, but which spreads over a long way, and I'll explain that in a second. And then you have the third eye and the throat chakra, which I think has moved now to Mount Fuji. So it's taking in Japan and China and stuff like that. So and then you have the crown chakra on Mount Kailash, which is in Nepal and Tibet and in the Himalayas. And, you know, so it creates these sort of hotspots of energies, and those energies, as they exert the energy out there, that's what help create the magnetic fields. And you can see these interactions between what's going on in the sun, what's going on in the earth, and then what's going on in humans. So like, if you do have the heart chakra that's ringing a load, or if you get a particular vibration that's coming from the sun, you're going to get increased amount of heart attacks rates. You're going to get increased gut problems. You can get increased skin problems, which we talked about this week.
Yep.
Might be a problem, and funnily enough, it seems to be coming up on the radar already, doesn't it? You know, so you know, and we were talking about that simply because there was a lack of the magnetic field of the earth, letting in too much of the cosmic rays and stuff like that, which makes it very sensitive for skin and stuff like that. And I've noticed it as well from my side as well. So, you know, it's good to sort of connect all the sort of things, and it's just understanding that, you know, you are not solely responsible for the creation that is around you. You are part of it, that is sure. We are all part of it, as much as the earth is part of it, as much as the sun is part of it. It is a two-way street. You can talk to the sun can talk to you. You can talk to the earth can talk to, you know, the earth can talk to you. You can talk to a tree, and a tree can talk to you. It's a two-way street, and it's when we understand how to place our energies within that, we lose those extremes, sort of kind of just making everything so positive that you're actually creating an illusion. It's as bad as anyone making everything so negative that they're creating that illusion of negativity. Once you connect with that vibration that is around you, all of a sudden you sit in harmony pretty much all the time. And, you know, with all the crap that's going on around the world, it's like taking everything with a big dose of
good place
salt.
to find, I think, in current situation is a good place to seek out and find. Brilliant, Tom. This has been fascinating. It's a subject I could talk about.
We could go on it for hours, couldn't we?
Many days, and we will do more. We will take.
Do you know what I was thinking of doing?
What were you thinking?
I was thinking of doing on the Cymatic TV Facebook page. We could do a live thing with question and answers for people. Yeah. Yeah. You know, we could do that maybe on Thursday evening, if that's good for you.
Maybe. Yeah, we can.
Watch this space. Go onto the Facebook page. Go onto either Tom Laura's author Facebook page or the Cymatic TV Facebook page, and we will be posting about that. And it'd be good to have a sort of like a live discussion where we can have a question and answers with people who are connected to the pages. Yeah. You know.
So if you've got any burning questions about chakras, or you know how the earth vibration from the sun is making you feel in a certain way, you know, this is what we want feedback from, you know, so we can see how other people are interpreting the energies that are coming through.
Because it's a learning process. I see lots of people are talking about this massive event, talking about the event, this massive event that's coming through at this present time this week. I think it's going to be a lot more subtle than that. I've been said that there is something coming up as well, but you know, some people have been talking about sort of like apocalyptic event and stuff like that. I don't think it's there yet.
Well, that's good to know. Good to know. Thanks, Bob. Keep us posted. Please do. Brilliant. Right. If you like this video, please thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of these videos, which we very much enjoy doing and hope that we are sharing, then you are enjoying, then please subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so you know when our videos are coming online, and we'll look forward to seeing you very, very soon.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. So
thank you, Tanya.
anything more to say, or are you happy with that? That's it.
Just enjoy yourself, really.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. Life should be enjoyed, man. It should be fun.
Brilliant. Okay, until the next time. Thank you, Tom. Ciao for now. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Don't believe, just know. Cymatic TV, turning vibration into reality.